Hi there, Lester Fields here. There's a bunch of new information that's come out in the past several days about Fallout 76, and I wanted to touch upon a few things here. The first bit, as I'm sure everyone has seen by now, is that Bethesda released the in-game intro for Fallout 76, and you can see it playing in the background of this video. Someone asked Pete Hines on Twitter if the in-game trailer, and I assume that what they meant was the in-game intro video, is the last trailer or if there were going to be any more trailers. And Pete confirmed there will be more trailers. We also got word that the beta will be starting at the end of October, on the 23rd for Xbox owners and on the 30th for everyone else. The beta will be open for 4 to 8 hours a day and also take place over a variety of days and times, as Pete Hines clarified for a Twitter user who was concerned about people who work at night missing the beta. Another Twitter user asked if the beta will be available until November 14th or only 1 week, to which Pete Hines responded, "It'll probably stop a couple days before launch just to allow the team to get ready for launch. But it's not only a week. So it's looking like we'll get to play the beta up until a few days before November 14th. And from what the Fallout 76 FAQ on Bethesda.net is telling us, our progress from the beta will probably carry over once the game launches, though once the beta ends, we'll have to download the game again or get the physical copy of the game on launch day if we're playing on console. PC players do not have to download again." The second bit of news is that Sony finally relented on their stance against allowing crossplay on their system, something that Bethesda had called them out on previously and lauded them on once they relented. Of course, folks thought that this meant that crossplay would soon be announced for Fallout 76 and balked when Bethesda said they had no current plans for it. Pete Hines tried to explain it using an analogy involving a Halloween costume by saying, "If in February you tell me I can't dress up as a raider for Halloween, I'll start working on a different costume. You can't tell me a few days before Halloween that I can be a raider and then act surprised when I stick to what I worked on because you said I couldn't go as a raider." He then went a little deeper by saying that we didn't work on a feature that wouldn't work on all platforms, so we put it aside to work on other things. Now that info has changed, we will look into it, but not as we are only 6 weeks from launch. It'll have to wait before someone has time to look into it. I guess some folks think that adding crossplay is like flipping a switch and don't or can't understand that because crossplay across all platforms was not going to be possible when Fallout 76 was being developed, it's something that Bethesda chose not to include in the development. Now things have changed at the last hour, and folks again don't or can't understand that it would be nigh impossible at this point to try to focus on incorporating crossplay when they instead need to focus on the beta, the launch, and beyond. A Twitter user tried to compare Fallout 76 to Rocket League and its developer Psyonix by saying, "So a far smaller company was better prepared than Bethesda?" And Uncle Pete responded, "I don't know what the size of the company has to do with it. They're very different games. We aren't making a game of short matches that end. It's a massive world that is ever-changing and players are building in real time and in out of." Pete also had this to say to a Twitter user asking about cross-saves instead of cross-play. "Until a few days ago, neither was possible across all platforms. We will look into what can be done after we get through beta and launch and whatever issues need to be resolved there. Folks are acting as if Bethesda should have had crossplay ready to go for when and if Sony ever changed their minds about it, and are mad at Bethesda because they chose to ignore a feature they couldn't implement in the way they wanted in favor of using their talent on other aspects of Fallout 76. Uncle Pete has said that they'll look into it as soon as the launch and the issues that come from it are resolved, And the level of anger that fans are throwing at Bethesda for this is, in my opinion, completely uncalled for. I mean, I certainly understand that crossplay is a nice feature, but it is in no way a deal breaker to not have it. It isn't even in the top 10 features I want to see in Fallout 76. It almost seems to me like folks are just mad to be mad on this one. And on a more positive note, the last bit of information I wanted to touch on today is the announcement of a Fallout 76 press and influencer event Bethesda has invited some video game media and YouTube content creators to sometime in the next week. A couple of YouTubers I watch, like Oxhorn, were invited to the event, and though they are limited in what they can share about it right now, they were able to announce that they are allowed to capture a few hours of gameplay footage to upload to their YouTube channels. And, as Pete Hines has made clear, before long you'll have hundreds of hours of gameplay to watch. I've heard that the gameplay will be available on October 8th, and though Lester Fields wasn't invited this time around, I certainly am looking forward to seeing new content from the game. There was one bit of information that Pete Hines could not confirm. A Twitter user asked if the pre-war bonnet would be back in Fallout 76, and I guess this question has been asked on a few occasions because Uncle Pete told the Twitter user he would give them $10 American to please stop asking this question. Another user offered that answering yes or no is not too much to ask, to which Pete responded that he has no idea and that he has a million things going on and no time or desire to find the person who would know. So, for all you pre-war bonnet fans out there, I'm sorry, but at this time we just don't know if it's been included in the game or not. As potentially devastating as this non-confirmation may end up being, I guess we'll have to wait and see. And that's all for now. I'll be back soon with my thoughts on the footage from the upcoming event once it's been released, as well as any other information coming out of the event. Until then, thanks so much for watching.